Assalamualaikum and good day. This is the second lecture of Introduction to Construction 3, BGN 372 Building Economics. For this week, we're going to look at project life cycle, the process involved for a project from the beginning until the end of the project. Okay, that's why we call it project life cycle. Involve the information from inception and future operating of complete buildings or parts of the building over a selected period of time in order to determine the most effective of the project. Life means as over a period of time, existing building decay and become obsolete and require maintenance, repair, adaptation, and modernization. There also lies a varied pattern of existence where buildings are subject to period of occupancy, vacancy, modification, and extension. As soon as a building are erected, deterioration and obsolescence commence their life cycle. The useful life of any building is governed by several factors, include the sufficiency of the design, its constructional details, and the method used for the construction on and off site. Under project life cycle, we will look at the project life cycle for construction project. There are three stages which are planning, execution, and operation. And under planning, we have concept, feasibility, definition, and procurement. And under the execution, we have project control. Okay, so under operation, kita ada turnover and also implementation. So this careless model, dia shows the project life cycle untuk construction project daripada mula sampai habis sesuatu project. Planning actually ada, tadi kita tengok ada 4 which are conceptual, feasibility study, definition and procurement. First, kita akan tengok on the conceptual. Okay, set up client organization for briefing, consider requirements upon and appoint the consultants. During the conceptual, this is during the initial part of the project, during the planning. Therefore, no contractors involved. Okay, ini bahagian client dan termasuk pada consultant. That's why masa conceptual ni lah, client akan appoint consultants yang mungkin contohnya architect, we have engineer, we have QS, we have land surveyor and many others. Jadi all these consultant being appointed during the conceptual stage. Moreover, during this time, the client need to prepare the general outline of requirement and plan future action. Because dia dah pun select all the consultants, dah being appointed, then dia mesti dah ada idea what actually the future plan for the project. Next steps on the planning is feasibility study. Carry out studies or user requirements, site conditions, planning, design, cost, etc. as necessary to reach decision. As for the user requirement, it means that the client requirements. Okay, what is the building ataupun satu projek tu untuk apa? For example, the building is for school. So school, what is the school punya requirements? Okay, mesti ada bilik darjah, mesti ada toilet, mesti ada ruang lega, mesti ada dewan and many others. And also look at the site conditions, how actually the condition of the ground, whether because all this is needed for you to know that what kind of method of construction later on. And then also we need to look at the design on the perspective of the design, macam mana design sekolah tu, for example, whether we still want to stick with the conventional design of school or kita nak buat futuristic design of school. Okay, depends. And then we also have the cost and etc., which always depends on how much the client willing to spend on the project. Consultant also have to provide the client with an appraisal and recommendation in order that he may determine the form in which the project is to proceed, ensuring that it is feasible functionally, technically and financially. So that's why all this feasibility study ni sebenarnya dia nak kaji whether it is possible to fulfill all the clients punya requirements depending on contoh saja site condition. Okay, kalau you tengok dekat site tu, clients decided to construct skyscraper dekat Kuching. So is it possible? How many level it is possible? What is actual ground conditions? Whether it can support the load that come from 100 floors of buildings, whether it can support or not. Okay, and many others. And maybe if let's say possible, whether you need to provide more support, as in maybe extra. Okay, not only we saying piling, you also have to put like a very very thick rough foundation ataupun pad foundation, combined foundation, and it will also increase the cost, whether the client will accept the increased cost or not. Okay, so itu adalah feasibility study. Third step under planning is definition. Client further develop the brief, carry out studies on user requirements, technical problems, planning, design and cost as necessary to reach the decision. Basically apa yang dia buat kat sini almost sama macam feasibility study, but it just further saja on the client brief. To determine general approach to layout, design and construction in order to obtain authoritative approval of the client in the outline proposal and accompanying report. Usually sebelum projek tu dapat dijalankan kena ada kebenaran daripada local authority. Local authority tu can be contohnya DBKU, MBKS. Local authority ni yang akan approve lah whether that particular kawasan tu, area tu boleh tak dibangunkan ataupun boleh tak bangunan diconstruct in that particular area. Okay, sebenarnya bawah definition ni ada juga scheme design dan detail design. Bawah planning and di bawah definition. Scheme design is a final development of the brief, full design of the project by architect, prelim design by engineers, preparation of cost plan and full exploratory report and submission of proposal for all approvals. To complete the brief and decide on particular proposals including loaning arrangement, appearance, construction method, outline specification and cost to obtain approvals. Under planning and then dia ada definition kan. So bawah definition tu ada juga detail design. Full design of every part and component of the building by collaborating of all the concerned to the complete cost checking design. To obtain final decision on every matter related to design specification, construction and cost. In simpler wordings, detail design ni all the parties which is consultants lah. You have the architect, you have the engineers and you have surveyors and perhaps you ada interior designers and many others yang involved dalam consultants ni. Okay, dia akan kena design. Jadi yang akan buat cost checking and everything adalah QS. So every components yang dikeluarkan oleh all the consultants yang design the building, cost checking, harga, bahan-bahan, harga semua daripada construction A to Z tu akan dikira oleh QS . The last step in planning is procurement. Okay, procurement method is selected. During this stage, procurement dah dipilih. Sebab procurement ni ada beberapa jenis. Yang normally kita pakai kat Malaysia adalah conventional ataupun traditional method, where construction dan design tu being separated. Because consultants ni dia akan di-appoint dan dibayar oleh clients. And then bila dah appoint, dah settle, okay, dia akan open tender dan akan cari contractor. Design daripada dari segi architecture sehingga ke structurally pun adalah daripada consultant client . Compare to let's say design and build, team consultant dari segi klien arkitek akan design, okay, bagi arkitek punya drawing, and then dari segi team design contractor pun ada, dia akan design dari segi structure. So structurally contractor yang akan design. During this stage, tendering process pun akan dijalankan. Jadi depends lah whether open tender ke, nego ke ataupun selective tendering. Normally for government project, it is a must to do open tendering. At this stage also, all the contracting parties lah akan kena refer to standard form of contract in implementing the project. Because apa-apa pun kita kena refer pada contract lah, all the obligations sebab dalam standard form of contract tu ada semua obligation of all parties yang involved in the project. Standard form of contract ni normally yang biasa kita dengar adalah Pertubuhan Arkitek Malaysia PAM ataupun JKR atau kita panggil juga SPWD Public Work Department. Ada juga kalau international project mungkin pakai FIDIC, FIDIC, or dekat Malaysia juga mungkin ada yang pakai CIDB pun ada standard form of contract. Dan juga kalau projek yang berada di Putrajaya, okay, Perbadanan Putrajaya dan Petronas ada juga dia punya own standard form of contract. We are done with planning, then we go to the execution. In order to achieve the best overall long-term economic savings, it should concern the contractor's method of construction that comply with the specification but have an impact on the life cycle plan of the project. The method of construction give major influence on the related cost in use, because kalau katakan method of construction ni tak bersesuaian, berkemungkinan later on akan ada cost additional yang akan incurred kepada klien later on. During this stage, if you look at the Kelly's model, you can see that the project control, which are the 5M, materials, machineries, manpower, methodology and money. Jadi masa stage execution ni, all resources yang ada tu, which are 5M, perlu dikawal lah. Project control, jadi tools for monitoring untuk project control ni, for example, we have critical path method, S-curve untuk control duit dan juga cost control. The last stage in the project life cycle for construction, we have operation. During this stage, Certificate of Completion and Compliance, which are CCC, is being issued. Kalau kat Sarawak, mungkin kita panggil dia OP, which is Occupation Permit. And it will start to generate income because perhaps the construction is done and the building is done, dah siap, and then bolehlah sama ada digunakan untuk investment, jadi bolehlah start dijual unit yang being owned by the client. Important part to playing physical asset maintenance management, because during this time maintenance paling penting to make sure that the building function according to what it's supposed to. Attribute to maintenance do not remain uniform or static throughout project life, and therefore need to be reviewed at frequent intervals to assess the implications within the management of cost in use, because maintenance ni dia ada cost. Jadi throughout the lifespan of the building, cost in use, maksudnya cost yang digunakan, cost masa penggunaannya mesti sepadan lah. Okay, that's why construction method mesti bersesuaian dengan cost in use of the building itself ataupun of the project tu. During this time also, renovation, upgrading or refurbishment. Perhaps kalau ada lagi projek yang akan digunakan dekat location itu, okay, mungkin perlu ada demolition and then rebuild balik ataupun reconstruction or redevelopment. This one is project life cycle for industrial project. So for industrial project, we call it as Vern's model. So you boleh nampak beza deh dengan construction industry punya life cycle. Study, evaluation, design, contract, and all of this dia berpusing. Okay. Tapi if let's say kalau you tengok dalam Kelly's model here, so you tak nampak pun dia berpusing balik. Okay. Bukan nak cakap, memang sebenarnya if let's say akan ada reconstruction ataupun rebuilding at the same, maksudnya dekat situ lah. Okay, but memang akan berpusing, tapi dia mungkin jadi bangunan lain. Dia benda yang tak sama. Okay, dia adalah mungkin some other projects. Okay, so we don't really like call it like, oh, it's a life cycle. You go into like this will happen every 60 years. Okay, so maksudnya 60 tahun usually build bangunan, especially like residential kat Sarawak ni, sampai 60 years je. So after 60 years, developer boleh take over. Kalau ada development dekat that area, dia akan ambil balik your property. Dia akan ambil balik tanah tu for redevelopment. Tak ada, tak semestinya like 60s, okay, this will happen. Not really. Tak sama macam manufacturing punya project ataupun Wern's model tu. Now we look at the importance of construction industry. First is scale of the industry. The scale is large, which consists as per below. You nampak dia ada tulis government, and on the right side is the social economic policies. The government will initiate the policies so that all the parties yang may be involved dalam the development akan tahu what is the policies, whether it is a social infrastructure that have to be built ataupun economic infrastructure. So, contoh social infrastructure, we have housing, hospitals, malls, schools, public spaces and others. And economic infrastructure, we have highway, dams, airport, ports, technology parks and etc. And then it goes to the environmental friendly process and materials. For example, it goes for sustainable recycling, and it back to the environment, to the society, and the society will elect the government. The position of the construction industry in the economy can be related in terms of its size and contribution to the economic activity. Ini adalah importance of construction industry. Yang kedua, which is size and contribution to the GDP. The contribution of the construction industry to the GDP is the total value for all organizations from the aspect of purchasing of materials and services from other organizations. The construction industry in Malaysia, like in any other countries, is seen as an economic growth engine and can reflect the national economic situation. The presence of a lot of construction activities indicate that the national economy is growing, whereas a reduction in construction means that national economy is depressed. You can see that during this COVID pandemic, the contribution to the GDP for construction is reduced significantly compared to previous years. It has an important role to play in the economy as the building and construction activities support various industries such as manufacturing, mining, transportation and facilities, and services such as health, education and tourism. Sebab apa? Construction. Kalau tak ada construction, macam mana bangunan-bangunan yang akan provide all these other sectors boleh operate? Okay. For example, for manufacturing, you need factories. For health, you need hospitals, clinics. For education, you need schools. For tourism, hotels, and etc. That's the reason why it is related to the growth of other sector in the economy. Walaupun dalam yang you belajar sebelum ni, yang I cerita about the GDP, masa the first chapter, it shows that the contribution over the years for construction industry is not much to the GDP, around 4%, and is ranked 4th. But it's still important because without the construction, sektor-sektor lain ni tak dapat nak dijalankan. Sebab kalau tanpa construction, tak adalah bangunan airport ke, tak adalah sekolah, tak adalah kilang. Jadi how the other sectors contribute to the growth of in the economy. The third factor of importance of construction industry is employment or providing job opportunities. The construction industry is an industry that requires high rate of workforce. Most of the construction process need intensive employment of workers. Employment can be stated in the number of workers in the total man hours. A large number of other are employed indirectly with materials and components, manufacture and plant. Okay, the number of people employed in repair and work maintenance sector alone, because ini adalah bawah construction, is considerably greater than those in agriculture, coal mining, shipbuilding or many other traditional industries. So this shows that sebenarnya banyak job opportunities yang being created dalam construction sector alone. Tapi as you can see, what happened right now, because of too many workers needed, jadi terpaksa kita ambil all those foreign labours. Walaupun sebenarnya local labours can contribute also kepada construction industry. The fourth importance of the construction industry is providing building for investment. The main use of construction product can be divided into two. One is for personal use and the second is for investment purposes by charging rent. Hence, the construction industry is an industry that provides building for investment in which a new product is needed not just for its own sake but for its services and uses. Some examples are factories that are used to manufacture other commodities, schools as places of education, and others. The construction industry is viewed as good source of investment because the value of the investment itself is high in comparison with the buyer's income. The price and value of the building usually increase in future years. This is what I explained before. Construction industry bukan saja adalah untuk construction industry, it's also being used untuk sektor-sektor lain berkembang. Moreover, construction industry pun produk dia adalah bagus untuk investment because dia mahal in comparison daripada buyer's income. The price and value of building biasanya juga akan increase over the years. The final importance of construction industry is government as main client. The main objective of government is to distribute the country's wealth to population in order to raise the standard of living by improving the income of population aside from providing employment opportunities. Government themselves and through statutory bodies are very important clients of construction industry in providing infrastructure and public amenities to the nation. Among amenities that are being provided by the government, we have roads, urban transport, rail, ports, airports, water supply, sewerage, communication and posts, and many others. The government has right to directly control the demand on industry. Government can intervene in the construction markets in three ways: through finance, legislation or regulation, and provision as follows. One is intervention in the market through finance, grant, benefits, and subsidies and taxation. Grants for the construction of individual or commercial premises in the areas of high unemployment. Incentive for the construction of certain types of projects such as private housing. Taxation relief against profit for the annual maintenance of building projects. Changing regulations such as town and country planning can create opportunities for construction development. For example, by allowing a wider range of projects in restricted areas to stimulate the development. Since the government is a major client, it has considerable scope to influence construction activity through the development, repair or maintenance of project. Salah satu contoh yang government punya intervention ni adalah housing scheme. Kita ada housing scheme yang dibuat oleh kerajaan Malaysia. Contohnya Perumahan Rakyat Satu Malaysia. So itu adalah salah satu intervention. Selain tu mungkin ada subsidi, ada tax relief, mungkin ada levy exemption dan macam-macam lagi ya. Sebelum ni levy exemption untuk IBS project ada, tapi sekarang dah tak ada. Jadi kontraktor terpaksa bayar levy sebab dah tak ada lagi exemption untuk projek-projek yang pakai IBS. Itu saja untuk kelas hari ini. I will talk to you again during our tutorial class on Thursday. Okay, because I nak brief untuk your assignments. Okay, terima kasih semua and bye. Assalamualaikum.